welcome to another episode of Subculture After Dark. It's episode 7. I'm Dave, and joining me is Harley. Hey, mate, how you going?
Hey Dave, I'm going good. How's your week been?
Recovering from the flu. Slowly getting, and you will hear that because I was so sick when I did the interview with the Bennies that you're going to hear later on. Um, I listened
Yeah,
to it.
one of the interviews definitely stands out above the others, that's for sure.
Yeah, I listened back to it and I virtually hardly got a voice for that whole interview. But we have got some big interviews in this episode. Richie Faulkner, who is actually a member of Judas Priest, has put together a super group at the moment called Elegant Weapons. So he's going to stop by and chat to us about their debut album and also how the band came together in the first place. Yeah, are you a fan of any super groups? Like, are there super groups out there that you love? Because I know some people absolutely despise them, but Elegant Weapons sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, look, I have listened to that track that we're going to play today. It's so good. The opening just grabbed me and I'm like, ah, this is like a classic sound. This is fantastic. So yeah, I think a lot of people will potentially jump onto this. Like, yeah, I definitely think it's worth the listen.
Definitely, and we've got a lot of other interviews as well. One's kind of like an audience vote interview because as soon as we started to play Comedy Tragedy a couple of weeks ago from the last Martyr, people were writing on social media going, "Come on, you worked with one of the members. You've got to be able to get them on the show." So we've got the last Martyr on the show this week to talk about their brand new single and what they're going to be doing now for the rest of the year because they've had a pretty big start to the year so far. We're going to chat to DeVille from Sweden, who are here in Australia this week for their shows. We're also going to talk to East Capri. And of course, the Bennies are going to stop by to talk to us a little bit about a music festival that started up in Adelaide, but it's a festival with a little bit of a difference. It's food and music. It's a barbecue festival, but with musicians. Do you think food and music go well together?
Oh, absolutely. I think anything in music goes together. So, whether it's me sitting on the toilet playing music, that's fine. Like, you just bring it on. Music for everything.
Definitely. So yeah, we've got a little bit of everything for everyone this week with the topics of with the genres of music that we're going into. But Harley put the call out a little while ago about heavy bands doing cover songs. And we've got
Yes.
another one this week that's been sent to us from a record label. This is a cover of it's kind of a not that well known Genesis song. Yes, Genesis with Phil Collins. It's a song called Mama, and it's been covered by a black metal band called Amiga Infinity. And they've also got a friend joining them, Taz from Heritoire. So it's a pretty
You
awesome.
executed that well, Dave.
It's a pretty awesome cover. It sounds nothing like the original. So we thought we would
It
actually.
is amazing. I actually because I couldn't remember the original song off the top of my head either. So I went and looked it up and I'm like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember this, but yeah, it's not one of the big ones that everyone kind of knows. So because the sound is so different, it was like, whoa, I didn't expect this. So I actually sort of sat there with the lyrics of the song as well, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I totally hear it now. It's like it's there, but it is such a good and different version. I'm kind of getting into it. I've listened to it a few times now.
Yeah, they really, really made it their own. Sometimes someone played a cover for me the other day, and I was like, I can't tell the difference between the original and this cover. Like, I really like a band when they do a cover to make it their own. I think Marilyn
Hmm.
Manson's always been very, very good at that. Like when he's done stuff like
Yep.
Sweet Dreams and um, he did a cover of David Bowie's Golden Years once, and it just sounds absolutely amazing the way that he's made that track his own. I was trying to think. There was another, not Marilyn himself, but Iggy from his band a couple of years ago did a cover of "I Only Want to Be with You," and it was an absolutely amazing cover. It
Oh
was,
yeah.
it was. I'll have to hunt that down. It was for a horror film, I remember, but it's such an amazing cover, and it was so different to the original.
I actually heard something this morning, and I remember hearing the cover of it when I was growing up. And of all things to mention on a heavy show, um, the cover was by Kylie Minogue. So, but it was yeah, one of those songs. It was sort of like, oh my God, I'm hearing the original, and the cover is almost identical. Like there was no sort of like mix it up, add your own stamp. It's kind of like note for note, it kind of matched the same. I mean, the music would be a little bit different in the instrumentation, but it otherwise sounded the same. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, sometimes it's you think, oh, I prefer the original and yada yada yada. This is too different. But I actually think no, I need it to be different. If you're gonna cover it, make it different, but make it good. And
She
I
did
think that's exactly what we've got with Amiga Infinity.
Yeah, she did a really awesome cover though of Russell Morris's "Come and See the Real Thing" for the film
Oh, the
Sample
real thing is
People.
so good.
Yeah,
Yes.
and she did and I miss these. Remember they used to do CDs sometimes that would be a tribute to an artist or a band, and they would just get different artists to cover it. I remember there was one here in
Yes.
Australia called Undone, and it was a tribute to Duran Duran. And Kylie teamed up with Ben Lee on the Reflex, and it sounded
Oh,
absolutely amazing as well.
I would never have pictured that combination. I kind
Yeah,
of want to hear it now.
it was an absolutely awesome cover, and I've tried to find it like on streaming platforms, and it's not there. The other one that was a really great one too was a whole bunch of Aussie artists got together at one point and did a tribute to Hal David and Burt Bacharach, and it was called to Hal and Bacharach. And
Oh, yeah, yeah.
uh, I'm trying to think. This Spiderbait did an absolutely awesome cover of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and again, it's not on any streaming platform, and I think it's because the record labels probably would have only owned the rights to those songs for a very short period of time. So now they can't put those up on the streaming platforms because they don't own the rights to the songs anymore.
Oh, that's kind of a weird deal to have, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Because there was
But
also
actually going back to, you mentioned Kylie covering the real thing on that was the Sample People soundtrack.
yeah,
That soundtrack, all these Aussie bands doing these covers of like old hits from Australia.
yeah.
That was really good. I still listen to that album. I think it's fantastic.
That was one of those soundtracks where the movie sucked, but the soundtrack was good.
I think the movie's a lot of fun actually. Like I can watch that again. Like it's not a you know, the most amazing thing that's gonna be in the top 10 of cinema, but I just think it's a fun, light-hearted kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. But I miss those soundtracks so much. Like even
Me too.
the soundtrack of Songs in the Key of X, which was the
Oh
X
yeah.
Files one, and you had the Foo Fighters doing Gary Newman's Down in the Park and stuff like that. It was just an absolutely awesome. And there was tracks on there again that have never resurfaced. Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper did a song called "Hand Safe in the Hands of Death." Burn, baby, burn. Cannot find it on streaming platforms at all. And people put up like a playlist for songs in the key of X, and that track is always left out because they haven't been able to find it. So, yeah, it's
Oh
really,
damn.
really weird. But yeah, let's jump into the show with this amazing cover from Amiga Infinity. It's called Mama, and it is a cover of Genesis by a black metal band called Amiga Infinity. Let's kick off the show with that right now.
Can't you feel my heart? Can't you feel my heart? Oh, listen to me, mama, mama, mama. You're taking away my last chance. Don't take it away. Can you feel my heart?
You are listening to Subculture After Dark. Well, this is almost like a fan requested interview because when we started playing the brand new single from the last Martyr, Comedy Tragedy, you all spoke out on social media and emailed us and said, how about getting the band on the show? Well, we listened to you and we've actually got Vin from the last Martyr on the phone tonight. Welcome to the program, mate.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So, mate, how does that make you feel, knowing that not only were people requesting your track on our show, but they wanted the band on the show as well for an interview?
I mean, it's quite an honour, I think, to be requested and then to be brought on the show. It's a really great feeling, and I mean, thanks for having me, Dave. I wish the rest of the band could be here, but unfortunately, I'm a bit all over the place. Mon's up in Sydney, and Ben's still at work. So's Ricky.
Nah, no problem at all. We're just glad that we've got you on. Now, this brand new single, Comedy Tragedy, it is an absolutely amazing track. Tell us a little bit about how this track came into being.
Yeah, so basically, we released our debut EP, our EP Purgatory in 2021, and we kind of wanted to follow on from that style that we've been building. And release another two singles. So we actually recorded Sugar, the previous single, and Comedy Tragedy at the same time, and we thought, okay, let's build on what we already had, that sound that we built, and sort of develop it further with a little bit more of an electronic influence, as well as some of the more grungy like breakdowns. And yeah, we kind of had Sugar as like a part one, and Comedy Tragedy was like part two. Yeah, we were supposed to put them out last year, but unfortunately, due to a whole bunch of shows that popped up and you know how these things go, we had to delay it a little bit to the start of this year. So we've been sitting on it for a while. We've really wanted to get it out, and we're so happy that the reception's been good as well. So,
and what are some of the themes that the track actually explores?
So the basically, to put it simply, you know that meme where the dog's sitting in the house and it's burning, and he's like, "This is fine."
Yep.
It's basically that. It's like we're just sort of like trying to get through this situation that may not be all that ideal, and we're just putting out that brave front and being like, well, you can only laugh sometimes in the face of tragedy. So it's that sort of vibe that we're trying to portray through the lyrics and also the video clip. If those of you that mentioned video songs with the breakdowns, like Freaking Out and Hindsight really popped off on Triple J as well, and a couple of the other outlets picked it up, and we had to sit down and go,
not so much airplay. It really showed that this was a band that was making an announcement. What did you guys go away and talk about after that point? Like you said, you wanted to get some more tracks out there. Did you sit down and begin to talk about where do we go from here after? And did you feel pressure writing new music after the success of Purgatory as well?
Well, there definitely was a lot of conversations around how we wanted to take it. And I mean, Purgatory itself, the way we put it together, it's quite diverse. I mean, you can tell it's all sort of the same band, but there's sort of a bunch of different sounds in there that we experimented with while trying to maintain that consistency amongst all the tracks. So what is the clear sort of sound that people are liking from us, and then we took that and we developed it a bit more. So when we were doing Sugar and Comedy Tragedy, the sounds that stood out to us most, that we got the best feedback from, were sort of more the new metal, grungy riffs, along with that EDM electronic influence fused into it. Which, I mean, yeah, hopefully that comes through in the two singles that we've released recently since Purgatory.
Definitely, and Sugar, of course, touched on mental health as well. You guys have never shirted away from tackling big topics like that in your tracks. Do you have a lot of fans reach out to you and say, your tracks are helping me through a hard time, or I know exactly what you were talking about on that track?
Yeah, it's really nice when we go to shows and we get fans coming up to us, and I mean, I look at them, it's just, we're all music lovers and we're all music supporters of the scene, right? And we just have these conversations about how they really related to some of the lyrics on this track, or even just the emotions that it brought out of them. And I mean, we've all been around and we've all been through some stuff, and it's really heartwarming to see that someone else gets it as well. Like, Mon puts in a lot of herself into the lyrics, and all of us pitch in here and there along the way just to sort of bring the song to a full sort of piece between the four of us. But it's really nice when we get that feedback that someone's relating to it, and we can sort of share what we've been through, if it's a similar situation, just to have that conversation of how things like mental health are also important in today's sort of atmosphere.
Now, you talked about some of the shows that you guys have been playing in there as well. You've played some massive shows over the last couple of years. Unify, Halloween Hysteria. You did the Story of the Year Knotfest side shows this year. How has that side of the band been for you, being able to play such massive shows, especially after the pandemic, when it felt like live music in Australia just went dull for 2 years?
Yeah, it's been non-stop. Last year was probably the biggest year we've had as a band. And I mean, there was also that influx of everyone being hungry for live music again because of the lockdown and whatnot. So, I mean, to see it come back, and especially with the big headliners that have come to Australia, and to see everyone come out for those, it's been kind of reinvigorating for ourselves as well as a whole bunch of other bands, I'm sure, because for a while there we thought this was it. Like, everyone's moving on to the online space, and then the algorithms are a whole different story. So reaching out and connecting to fans on the ground through live shows, we felt like that may not have been a thing anymore. But then here we are, and it's been booming. So I think live shows coming back has definitely been a good thing for the industry as a whole. In many ways, I feel like it's starting to rebuild from the ground up all over again. Like, we're not really seeing the same sorts of shows that we would have in terms of the people coming out that we did before the pandemic. Like, it's sort of like a rebirth and a restructuring of the old system, it feels like. But I'm glad it's back. And I mean, we had a really busy year last year, so we're taking a little bit of time now just to plan ourselves out and maybe record some new music before we get back on the road again. But it's been good.
That was actually going to be my next question. What have you guys got planned for the rest of this year now? Is it recording music? Is it getting out and playing shows? Or is it a mixture of both?
Yeah, so we the last show we played would have been the Story of the Year show for the Knotfest side waves, and yeah, we sort of made a decision that everyone's come. We've been out there, we played a whole bunch of shows last year, and we need to reinvigorate our live set, and that means pumping in some new music, some new blood, trying out some new things on stage. If we get some demos going, so the plan now would be just to get back in the writing room and put some new material together, so that when we do get back on stage again, people will see a different side of us.
What is that writing room like for you guys? Like, does everybody have input with the tracks equally, or how does that work?
Yeah, basically we write a lot with our producer Chris Lilac from Wind Waker, and how we do our writing sessions, usually Ben or Ricky would come up with a bit of a demo riff, and then they'd send it around to all of us, and we'd all just sit there and digest it for a while in our own time. And then we'd give input or feedback, or like I'd throw in some MIDI or some ideas that I may have had to that demo, and kind of cook it up on our own. And then we'll bring it to Chris, and then work with Chris with structuring the whole song, or maybe just sort of refining it a bit more, should I say, and then also putting in Mon's vocals because Mon would have demo vocals to whatever we would have had prior, but it's all four of us along with Chris sitting down together and really laying it all out like on a canvas in Cubase and kind of painting the picture of what we want the song to look like. That's like a full 3-4 day effort where we sit down and just grind away at the song. And sometimes you gone.
I was just going to say, it sounds like Chris is right there for part of that songwriting process as well.
Yeah, so Chris, he's really good because we get really excited and we kind of like put a lot of stuff in the demo, and he's really good at saying like, I know this all sounds really cool, but we want this to translate well across the other audience, the rest of the audience. So he kind of like reins us in a little bit and makes sure that the important parts of the demo really come to light.
Awesome. Everyone I know that works with Chris has said what a great producer he is. What does he bring to your music? Like you said, he's such an awesome guy to work with. What do you feel that he brings to your music at the end of the day?
Oh, so for one, he's really quick with his craft. So, I mean, we can be sitting there and going, I have this idea for a little synth part or a little trap beat part that we want to put in a breakdown or something, or just a little intermission part. And he'd cook it up on the spot and go like, oh, you mean like this? And he's got it all done there, and then we just do little edits here and there. So he's really quick at the production side of things, for starters. And secondly, he's got a lot of influence in the electronic and pop spaces.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I grew up listening to pop, so we get along on a lot of discussing old school music topics and what we liked and what genre bands we think are cool. He's got that sensibility of, you may have a really cool chuggy riff and he'll be able to see the gold in it and go, that's cool, but we can strip that back a little bit, add a little bit more flavor to it, and sort of bring it to a wider audience, which is something, I don't know, a lot of the stuff he pulls out when we're working with him sounds like common sense, but it's not something I would have ever thought of myself. So, it's been a really good process working with him.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned bringing in some new tracks to play live. Is the ultimate aim there to be able to do live shows overseas as well, or is that a long way off yet?
Yeah, we definitely are looking at pushing overseas. I mean, during the lockdowns and whatnot, that was a far cry, but now that we've been on the road for a little bit and we've started to reach out to overseas outlets and see what we can do, I think the big push now would be trying to get over to the UK and Europe because, firstly, flights are a lot cheaper, but also I think America is like the next step after that. So those would probably be the first two markets we want to try and hit. In the interim, we're also looking at potentially Asia, if there are opportunities there. I mean, music scenes all around the world are sort of just recovering from the sort of famine period that they had over the lockdown. So I think opportunities will present themselves eventually. Travel is a little bit of a expensive issue at the moment, but I'm sure we'll find a way around that.
Definitely. Well, mate, we are going to play Comedy Tragedy on our show again right now. So what would you like to say to all of your fans out there before they take another listen to this amazing track?
Thank you for supporting us, and next time you're faced with a bit of a tragedy, try and find the comedy in it.
Awesome. Well, Vin, thank you so much for fulfilling our listeners' wishes and coming on the show to talk everything Last Martyr. Here is Comedy Tragedy, everybody, and Vin, we wish you all the best, and we hope that we get to see you guys play live again very, very soon.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Lovely to talk to you.
Is this heaven or is it hell? We got an old school coffin carousel where circling some kind of tragic infinite inferno. Denial attempts to ask him, do you love me? Do you love this mood? And close in the conversation. I think I feel wrong. We burn up barriers to stay a little warmer.
will come undone. Know your lines, fake your fun. You will fool everyone. Don't fake your life, hold your tongue. Your death will come undone. Know your lines, fake your fun. You will fool everyone. And around we go. Time to stop this show. Is it comedy or tragedy? We'll die on this hill and never really know. If you don't mind suffering, could you turn the other way? Comedy or tragedy? So fake it until you make it. Oh, 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 just fake your life, hold your tongue. This will come undone. Know your life, fake your fun. You will fool everyone.
And welcome back to Subculture After Dark, listeners. Well, we've got a very, very special guest for you on the phone right now because DeVille are about to come to Australia for the very first time in their 20-year history, and we thought, you know what, we want to know a little bit more about this trip, so we thought we would get Mickey from the band on the phone to chat all about it. Welcome to the program, mate.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries at all. Now, mate, it's hard to believe you guys are 20 years old, and this is the first time that you're coming to Australia. How do you feel about this tour?
We're super stoked and excited, of course. It's hard to believe, actually, that we're going to do this tour, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
So,
And, yeah, we're super excited.
So what are you expecting from Australia? Having not been here before, what are your expectations?
Well, we've only heard good things. We've talked to some friends and acquaintances that have been doing Australia before, and we only got like good vibes about going there. So yeah, our expectations are high.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. That's all we can say.
Well,
There's going to be a lot of logistics around those things as well, but it's going to be fun.
what kind of things are you hoping to do outside of your shows while you're here? Is there anything on your bucket list that you want to do while you're in Australia?
Well, it's pretty. I don't know how much time we do have actually, because there's a lot of traveling in between the shows and stuff. We do 9 shows in 11 days, so we've decided to take whatever time available to see the cities and just enjoy, drinking a few beers, eating food, you know.
Definitely, and there's plenty of good Aussie beers here as well. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, well, we've looked into it, so yeah, it's going to be fun.
So this is also the 20th anniversary of the band as well. Well, how does that make you feel?
Yes.
That's a rare feat for a band to get to these days. How does that make you feel personally that it's the 20th anniversary?
Well, it's yeah, as you say, it's not many bands may live throughout 20 years, but I mean, there's been developments in the band and members been swapped out and stuff, and I joined the band in November 2019, so I'm pretty fresh into it. And the bass player who's with us now, he joined last fall actually, so October 22.
Yep.
He joined, so, but yeah, fun of course, and it's a good band history and development throughout all the genres we've done and so forth. So it's great.
Yeah, you sadly came into the band at a time when the world was going into lockdown and the band couldn't play live shows. Was that a bit of a shock for you, not being able to get out there and do anything during that time?
Yeah, for sure. It was, I mean, all expectations went through the roof, and so we had a few gigs, and we were supposed to do this Australian tour in 2020 already, but yeah, everything was shut down, so yeah, wasn't that fun.
Yeah.
And the timing wasn't that good either. So, but who knew? But yeah, now we're on the rise again, and we see a lot more shows being booked for us and stuff. So it's it's fun times ahead for sure.
A lot of musicians out there are probably wondering, coming into a band with such a rich history, as DeVille did, what was that like for you as a musician coming into such a well-established band?
Well, I've been listening to DeVille in the past as well before I was a member, and I kind of knew all the guys playing in the band before. So I had like an in on how to and what to do when auditioning for the band. But there's a few songs that's very intricate and just like tough to learn, and a few songs that you can just bash out immediately. But yeah, it's challenging, but most of all, it's super fun because we go through genres and different kind of vibes in the songs. It's a good band to play in, fun band to play in.
Yeah, and you kind of had 2 albums come out very, very quickly. Was that because of the pandemic? Did that give you guys a chance to sit down and concentrate on songwriting?
Yeah, well, we had nothing else to do. So, during DeVille's history of writing songs for albums, it's always been on the tour bus or away playing shows, coming up with riffs in the van or wherever, basically. But now we had to do something, and so we just hammered through songs in the rehearsal space, and then we went into the studio. Pretty much all songs done as well. So we just recorded it. Otherwise, we usually have the creative process of maybe writing songs in the band, and then you finish them in the studio with new ideas and creative processes. But we went into the studio with basically a finished product this time, which was very different from how we usually do it.
That's awesome. Now, of course, having not been to Australia before, does that change what we can expect to hear from the set list? Like, will this be a set list where you go right back over the band's history to put the set list together for Australia?
Yeah, we went through the set list yesterday, actually. So we're going to have quite a few songs from the new album, but also, of course, hits from the past as well. Or hits and hits, but songs that's been spinning on Spotify and such in the past. So it's going to be a mix of all the new stuff for sure.
Yeah. Are the band aware? Are the band aware of how many fans there are here in Australia? Because I know that there's been a lot of listeners to this show who are eagerly anticipating this tour at the moment.
That's fantastic. We to be honest, we have no idea. Chris from Beats Cartel posts all these ads and stuff, and the reaction to everything is fantastic. So we're super excited and have no idea how many people actually listen to us over there. So it's going to be fun meeting everybody at the shows and stuff.
And you get a good mixture of shows too. You're playing some headline shows, but you're also playing a couple of festivals as well. Do you enjoy playing festivals? Is that something that you love as a musician?
Yeah. I enjoy playing both clubs and festivals or headlining stuff. But of course, festivals, meeting all the bands, and the vibe and all the people. Of course, it's an honor and a pleasure playing festivals, of course.
Yeah.
But we love clubs as well.
Yeah. Now, the big question, you guys at playing at those festivals, you said you like meeting bands. There's going to be a lot of Aussie bands playing at that festival.
Yeah.
Are there Aussie bands out there that you love?
My personal favorite is Astrodeath.
Yep.
I've been listening to them a lot, obviously because we were supposed to do the entire length of the tour with them 2020, with also Kadava and Nebula. So and we've been chatting with these guys ever since 2020, of course. But we're trying to listening in on every other band as well. But Astro Death for sure, for me at least. Yeah.
Awesome. Now your fans are probably wondering as well. What have you got planned for the rest of this year? What's going on after the Australian tour?
Yeah. We come home and then we have a week off, and then we play a festival in Croatia, and then we have a few shows throughout the summer, and then we're booking this fall actually now. Trying to get as much in as possible, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and little confirmed, but yeah, we're gonna try to fill up this year with as many shows as possible.
Yeah. No, I just pulled up your tour dates on my phone while we're doing the interview, and you guys will get a chance to have a little bit of a look around, because a few of your shows are pretty close together. So, so like traveling from Adelaide to Melbourne, that's a 1 hour flight.
Yes.
Yep. Brisbane, Gold Coast, you can drive there within an hour. So yeah, you guys are going to get a good chance to have a little bit of a look around.
Yeah, and I think we have 2 days off at the Gold Coast as well. So
yep.
Hit us up if you live there, any listeners. We can have a good time together.
And that's one of the best places for you guys to have a couple of days off at the moment, because it's winter time here, but
nice.
But the Gold Coast is always warm, so you'll probably enjoy that.
Cool.
Yeah. So when you get out to explore cities, what do you like to do? Do you like to head out to restaurants? Are you hoping to check out some of the Australian wildlife? What are the plans?
I mean, DeVille is basically a food band, so we enjoy good drinks and good food. So that's usually what we do if we have days off or we have a few hours off on tour or wherever. We enjoy having beers and good food. So we're trying to look into maybe some brewing companies or whatever.
Yep.
Craft beer situations would be nice.
Well, you've got some great craft beer breweries here in Melbourne. While you guys are in Melbourne, there's a couple right in the CBD, so you'll be able to go and check them out pretty easily.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, mate,
that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing we are running out of time very, very quickly. So I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your fans out there before they head along to these amazing shows? Is there something you'd like to say to them?
Well, please come and enjoy the night with us wherever we play and what's nearest to you guys. Hit us up after the shows and have a chat with us. And we are super excited to perform for you and have a good time.
Definitely. Well, Mickey, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us tonight. It's been an absolute honour having you on the show, and I cannot wait to check out your show here in Melbourne.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for having me and having us. And we'll see each other soon then.
Well, listeners, it is a night of new music tonight on Subculture After Dark, and the next band that we're going to be taking a look at, the brand new track of, is East Capri, and we're going to be taking a look at their new track called Clean Out. And to tell us a little bit about this amazing new track and everything that's been going on with the band recently, I want to welcome to the show the entire band. So welcome, guys.
G'day. Hey, how you doing?
I am going really, really well. And guys, we are so excited that we're about to play Clean Out on Subculture After Dark for the first time. So I was wondering if you guys could tell us a little bit about this track and where it first came from.
The song's basically about having enough of all the toxic friends in our lives and just pretty much a big cutout, a big cull, a clean out, if you will.
We've all had that in our life where we've had toxic people around us and they've been difficult to get rid of. Did you find this to be a fairly easy track to sit down and write? Like, was it something that was on the mind of all of you when you first sat down to work on this track?
I guess it was on our mind a little bit. The concept kind of stemmed from, after we had started releasing music as a band, we had a lot of people who just, stopped talking to us over years, finally come out of the woodworks and, kind of want to hang out and
DM us and ask to join the band and stuff like that, or like if you need a bass player or a drummer or something like that, they would just
kind of being really helpful and seemingly helpful when things look like they're going well, but never when things weren't going well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So was it a track that came together fairly quickly for you all?
It actually, the idea musically started off as a totally different song. I was actually going through the writing sessions a few days ago, and the song has actually taken a fair few different forms until it turned out to what it is. So, and that was probably that probably started in 2020. I think as the song came into its form, it came together pretty quickly. But from the beginning, when the idea first started, it's probably been a little while, yeah.
When you say about it progressing like that, are those stages, like, do you record a demo and then you take a listen to it and decide to change this part or that part? How does that progression happen with a song for you guys?
Well, yeah, it started off as a musical idea, like a guitar part, and then I just adding stuff to it, and then once you add stuff to it, you're like, this section would sound good with this, but now the beginning doesn't sound right, so you cut off the start, and then you start you'll hear a bit of a beat that comes in at the start. There was actually music that came before that originally, but after the little kind of trap beat at the start was put into the song, it sounded like it should be more of an intro, so then the front of the song was cut off and then parts were added on after that musically. So, and then it was just built over a bunch of different versions, added on until it came into what it is.
Yeah. Now, when Wake and Repeat came out in 2021, it became almost an instant success. Like, it was picked up by so many radio stations for radio play and things like that. Have you guys felt pressure heading back and writing music after the success of that EP?
Yes and no. I feel like we try not to have too big expectations with who picks up certain things and how far they go, because we love doing it so much.
Yeah, most of the writing as well is normally, we never really looked at it to cater to anyone. It was more of a coping mechanism with all the stuff that we were sort of going through. Yeah. And we've never really ran out of things to say. We still have plenty of things we want to say, actually. So a lot of the stuff we write about are just things that sort of just come naturally to us, and we've kind of grown to know each other enough now that we can share certain sides of what we're going through, and we can just transcribe each other's thoughts and kind of bring our kind of imagination to life pretty quickly these days.
So the the response to those kind of things is just an added bonus.
Yeah. Have you guys noticed like your sound evolving at all since then? Like there's a real mature sound on this track that I really, really liked when I was listening to it. Have you guys noticed that evolution of sound?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a massive change in sounds. Especially you'll hear with our new stuff that's coming out over the course of this year and next year. Like there's definitely a lot more mature sort of sounds coming through.
Themes in general too,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're just a lot more like evolved with our writing. We're a lot more expressive now. We're not really, and we're just trying to push ourselves further. Yeah, so we just write how we feel and just we don't settle on things anymore. So we love it.
That brings a real personal feel to your music, and it's something that's very obvious when you listen to it, that these tracks, they've got passion in them and they've got feeling in them because they're written from your heart. Do you get a lot of people reach out to you and say, you know what, I've been going through that, or I know what that track's about, or it helped me through a tough time as well?
I've actually read a lot of comments, especially on YouTube, with our songs, and there's probably been probably a couple of dozen people have kind of poured their heart out on the comments on a lot of our videos. So it has been good to see that a lot of people do resonate with kind of what we've been going through and kind of understand like the kind of pain that we kind of went through when we recorded it. It was really nice to see a lot of those comments kind of reflect how we were feeling when we put the songs out.
The other big change as well that's happened, of course, since Wake and Repeat came out in 2021, that came out when Australia was pretty much in lockdown and there was not much going on in the music scene. What's it been like since then now, being able to get out and playing live shows for your fans as well?
It's so good. Like our first few shows that we had organised, I think we had 2 or 3 of our first ever shows cancelled. So it's good to finally start getting out and not have that hanging over our heads that something could be cancelled anymore. It's really good, and it's really good to see people coming out to shows as well. Like
it is exhilarating. It's one of the best feelings ever.
Yeah, even this weekend, you guys have got a big show on. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh, so keen.
We're so excited. Yeah, can't wait.
So guys, tell us a little bit, you mentioned earlier about having more music coming out this year and next year. What are the plans going forward now? Can we expect more singles, another EP, a tour? What's in the workings for the rest of this year?
I mean, you guys can definitely expect a lot of new singles coming out. And kind of our biggest thing is we want to just keep everybody guessing and just bring everyone on a massive journey with us, because a lot of our stuff is different. I think none of our songs are really the same, but we feel that the songs are pretty much single worthy. We haven't really settled at all. We've put a lot of effort into each song to give them the light that they deserve. We feel so. Yeah, be prepared for some bangers.
With the success that you've found here as well, do you start to look overseas now? Do you start to look at trying to pick up some European shows or some American shows? What's that next step look like for you guys?
I think the next step for us is definitely looking at touring more within Australia. We're still yet to hit out of state. So now that things have opened up after COVID, we've been playing a bunch of Brisbane shows. I think our next step is to start to hit other cities around Australia, and really try to build, build something in those other areas.
And just to add to that, we're definitely not ruling anything out. So we're open for anything right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people down here in Melbourne that are looking forward to you guys playing live down here. So I don't know if that's going to help you guys get down here at some stage.
That is one of our biggest bucket lists.
Tell them to hit us up.
Yeah.
We will do.
We'd love to do that.
Yeah, and we have a few promoters that listen to this show too. So hopefully those guys might be the ones that hit you up.
Oh yeah, sick. Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, Well, guys, we are going to play Clean Out on our show now for the first time. So what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take a listen to this amazing track?
Oh, just have an open mind and be prepared for a bit of a ride because this one is all over the place. This is by far our most hype song. So yeah, buckle up.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us tonight. It's been an absolute honor having you on the show. I've got to say, I'm one of those people that's excited about seeing you guys in Melbourne sometime in the future. So good luck with the touring around Australia, and hopefully we do get to see you down here very, very soon. But thanks for tonight.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us.
We can't wait.
This is a clean out.
Welcome to the ghost town. Got some real friends of me, but then the rest of you float round. Is it something that you wanted from me? Don't think I'd have a problem if it weren't just favors you need. Yeah, got a feeling that you don't care. Get what you get out of me, then blow me off like it's nothing. Finally I see that this shit is fake. Don't fucking make the mistake of fitting you to fit the front door. Only turn it on when you think there's a hand down. Just a bad way a friend, now I stand down. All these people that I now gotta clean out. These fucking clouds, so know that they're out. Only turn it on when you think there's a hand down. Just a bad way a friend, now I stand down. All these people that I now gotta clean out. There's a way to reach me out, what? Yeah. What? Oh. Others I got nothing to say. You see me doing well, now you wanna jump on the train. Now listen, hope you can picture that we never met. Thinking after all this time, I could just forgive and forget. Yeah, but the past is forever now, and now it's time that you fly. Another fool you can lynch up. The problem is the pressure that I know you're feeling down, that you can vacate all your. Only turn it on when you think there's a hand out. Just a bad way a friend, now I stand out. All these people that I now gotta clean out. These fucking clouds, so know that they're out. Only turn it on when you think there's a hand out. Just a bad way a friend, now I stand out. All these people that I now gotta clean out. There's a way to reach me out, what? Now it's time that you ride. Find out what you just saw, 'cause you ain't ever gonna make by what you show. Cry you out, this is a motherfucking clean out. Yeah, motherfucking clean out. Motherfucking clean out. Only turn it on when you think there's a hand out. Just a bad way a friend, now I stand out. All these people that I now gotta clean out. Just fucking clouds, so know that they're out. Only turn it on when you think there's a hand out. Just a bad way a friend, now I stand out. All these people that I now gotta clean out. Yeah, motherfucking clean out.
Well, listeners, we have got a very, very special guest on the show right now. Many of you will know Richie Faulkner because of his work with Judas Priest, but he's got a brand new project now, a brand new band called Elegant Weapons, with a new album out as well. So we thought we would actually get Richie on the phone to chat about Elegant Weapons and this amazing new album. So welcome to the program, Richie.
Dave, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure and an honour to be here. How are you?
I am really, really well. And mate, we are honoured to have you on the show. And I have to ask the big question straight off. Tell us a little bit about Elegant Weapons and how this band has come into being.
Well, you know, when I joined Priest back in 2011, it was the farewell tour. It was the last tour. It was Epitaph, you know. It was the final go-round that they were going to do. So I started thinking back then, really, about what I was going to do when this band retires. Fortunately, 12 years later, Priest is still making music. We're still touring the world, and the world is a better place for it. But at the time, I had to, think about what I was going to do after. So that's where the seed was sown originally. And then since then, I've always been writing little bits and pieces, song ideas and riffs and melodies and stuff like that. And I was able to, during the pandemic, put all those ideas together. We had a bit of time. No one was doing anything, with all the lockdowns and everything like that. No one was touring. No one was playing anywhere. So I could get those ideas, put them into some sort of order, and see, do I have some songs? Do I have an EP or an album? Do I have a band? Just to see what I've got there. And that's what I did, really. And it was important for me to have something that stood on its own sonically outside of Priest, because if I came out with a Priest record, that's what we do with Priest, there would have been no point. So sonically I wanted it to be different in its own monster, and it had that, and I went from there, really.
It's really interesting. A lot of people I speak to during those lockdowns and everything during the pandemic, some people found that they couldn't be creative at all, and other people found it to be a great opportunity to explore their artistic ability. What do you feel made you so creative during that time, and why did that feel like the right time for you to explore with Elegant Weapons?
It's a great question. I mean, people work differently. I'm always creating. I've always got the instrument in my hand. I'm always playing, and I've always, there's always stuff jumping out of the guitar, riffs, melodies, and fortunately we can record them on phones or whatever it may be. So I've always got that kind of itch to scratch creatively, and we just had the time, more time than usual, to be able to do that. So it was a case of just carrying on like normal, really, but it's just I had a lot more time to be able to do it because no one was touring.
Yeah.
I do the same. I come in the studio in the morning, play guitar with a coffee, see what jumps out. I do that pretty much every day,
Yeah.
It's just part of my life, and again, it just allowed me some time with the pandemic to be able to get those ideas and consolidate them into what became the album.
Richie, you also had a life-changing event in 2021. How is your health now, and how much of an impact did that have on what you're doing now with Elegant Weapons as well?
Well, I'm doing great now. I mean, thanks for asking. I'm doing okay. Obviously, it became very real to me that you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
Well, none of us do. You could be up there playing Painkiller 1 minute, and then the next minute you go down and don't get up. So it kind of makes me think differently in terms of if you've got an idea for something, or there's somewhere that you want to visit in the world, or a family member you want to reach out to, do it, because you never know what's around the corner. And there's little things I have to do differently. I have to, obviously there's meds I have to take, and I have to a couple of lifestyle changes, a couple of things from that I have to go to physical therapy every now and again. But I'm very lucky to be here talking about new music and tours and all that stuff. There's some people that go through a lot worse things than I do. So I consider myself one of the lucky ones. It was a great support system. The surgeons, doctors, nurses, and the people at home, they were fantastic. And the fans as well, man, they got me through it. They sent me videos and letters of support and everything. They really got me through it. And it was important for me to get back on the guitar, get back out on tour, finish this record, for example, and get back to who I was. That's part of the medicine, getting back to normal.
Definitely. Now, tell us a little bit about bringing everybody together for this band, because you have got members of Elegant Weapons from some of the biggest bands in the world. How did that come about? Are these guys that you'd worked with on and off over the years that you knew, or how did those approaches happen?
Well, obviously, with Scott Travis, the drummer, I've been playing with Scott in Priest for 12 years now. So I always promised Scott that if I ever did anything outside of Judas Priest, that I'd give him first refusal. And luckily, he'd like the stuff. He could have hated it. But so I'm fortunate to get Scott on the record. Rex Brown from Pantera as well. He's another legend on the bass guitar. Obviously, Rex is doing Pantera now. But at the time, as I said, no one knew the lockdowns were in effect. No one knew if we were going to be when we were going to be touring again, or if we were going to be touring again. It was one of those things, really. So I wanted to. The main priority at the time was to get the record down, and I'm just fortunate enough to have legends at the end of the phone. You know, it's just, I'm lucky to have that. And Ronnie Romero, fantastic singer. As you said, the touring band's going to be different. These other Scott and Rex are doing other things, but me and Ronnie, we've got another drummer, we've got another bass player together. We're going to be moving out onto the live stage. But again, just really fortunate to have great players. I can pick up the phone and call Davey Rimmer from Uriah Heep and say, "Do you want to join my band, man?" Because that's the way it works, really. Just I wanted the best people for the band, as you do. And they just happen to be legends, really. So very fortunate and very grateful to have those guys on the record.
That was actually going to be my next question. How do you do that approach? Is it just a phone call saying, "Hey, I've got this idea for a band. Do you want to join?" Or do you take everybody out for dinner? How does that approach actually happen?
Yeah, wine and dine them, get them drunk, and then they might like the stuff. They can't say no. But in the case of Scott and Rex, it was... Fortunately, they liked the songs. And with Ronnie, I sent him the stuff. They all liked the stuff. It was all written before I got them on board. It was all written, and I'd recorded demo versions. So when I reached out to them, I sent them those demo versions, and they liked the stuff. And we had to record it all separately. Because of the way the world was at the time. We couldn't fly and be together. So Ronnie recorded it in Europe. Scott recorded the drums last, so I was able to do it with him here in the US. Rex recorded it in a studio near him. So we all done it separately, but that was just the challenge of the record, and I think every record has a challenge. When you're young, you're putting a record together. It might be a financial challenge. Or you might have the studio might be a bit small, but that's the challenge. You work around it. There's always a challenge with if we want to call it art, which it kind of is. There's always a challenge, but it kind of becomes a part of the story of the album. I think that's a healthy thing. So this one was no different.
Was that a different experience for you with everybody recording on their own in different parts of the world, or is that how Priest have done their last few albums as well?
No, we've done it all in the same studio separately, at different times, but all in the same studio. This was done in different studios, and then we sent it to Andy Sneap to put together and mix and everything like that. So it was different in that regard. I really like getting together, at least drums, bass, guitar, and putting the drums down, because you get a different energy. You feed off of each other's energy. Some spontaneity comes out of that, and if you get that on the drums, that's great. If you get some flow from the drums that comes out of that spontaneity, you can then build on that afterwards. So in this case, we just worked with what we had, and it came out great for it.
You mentioned the touring band as well. You've put together some amazing guys for that. Tell us a little bit about some of the guys that we can expect to see in the touring band with you on stage as well.
Well, I mentioned Davey Rimmer before. He plays with a band called Uriah Heep. They've also been around for 50 years. Me and Davey, I've been Davey's friend for over 20 years. We used to play the bars and clubs and pubs in the UK. We used to play covers maybe 4 or 5 nights a week, religiously every week. That's what we did, So not only are me and Davey great friends, we've got a musical relationship as well. I got the gig in Priest, he got the gig in Uriah Heep, and it just makes sense to be in a band with him. You know what I mean? We connect on so many different levels. Christopher Williams, who plays drums in Accept, he actually recorded the drums when we started. When I wanted to record this record, Scott couldn't fly in at the time, so I asked Christopher to come and record the record, and then we got Scott in later on to redo the drums in his own style, But so Christopher was intimately connected with the record, so it made sense to get him on board as well. So we're all from, Ronnie as well. We're all from legacy acts: Priest, Accept, Uriah Heep, Rainbow with Ronnie. So we're all from legacy bands. So hopefully we can bring some of that character that we've got in our other bands and bring it into Elegant Weapons and take that into the future.
definitely. Now, Richie, I wanted to ask a little bit about the genesis of these songs, because listening to the album, one of the things that really hit me was that every single song on this album feels like it's got its own identity. So what was inspiring you when you sat down to start work on these tracks? Was it life itself or things around you? What was inspiring you at that time?
That's a great question. It's for me, it's always the guitar. That's it. It's the guitar. That's where it starts. If I can put something together, it usually, obviously, the guitar doesn't play itself, but it kind of brings stuff out of me. The Black Sabbath influence, or the Ozzy Osbourne, or the Priest influence, or whatever it may be. The Jimi Hendrix stuff. The guitar is like a conduit for that, and I'm inspired by the guitar. That's the main reason I do it. I look at it. I'm inspired by it. I play it. The way it makes me feel, all that stuff. So I sit down with a guitar and I come up with something that I find inspiring, or it sounds good, and I go from there. If it sounds like a sad kind of song, then it might inspire. It's not going to inspire a happy lyric, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the guitar dictates the type of song, and the type of song dictates the vocal and the lyrics and stuff like that. So, but ultimately it's the guitar and what the guitar brings out of me.
I have to ask you about Rose Girl. I absolutely loved that track. Tell us a little bit about the story behind that track.
Well, Rose Girl was actually, it's about a club in South Miami where, you get those women that come in and sell roses to the people that frequent the bar. And it was about her, really. It was about where did she come from, where did she go to after she's sold her roses, and that was basically the sentiment of the story. She came in, she sold the roses, and then where does she go to? What makes her tick? What kind of, who is she? That's basically what it was. And again, it just sounded like that kind of song. It inspired the lyric from there, and that's what we went with.
Awesome. Now, of course, Ghost of You is another great track on there as well, which I love the fact that you guys did something so different and took a 1920s piano and detuned it. Some of those decisions make this album really, really special. Where did that idea come from to get a 1920s piano and detune it?
Well, again, I think that the song dictated the sentiment of the subject matter. And to me, it was kind of a bit creepy, a bit ghostly, a bit New Orleansy. I could imagine a smoky, bluesy, jazzy club with a piano in it, and that's where it came from. And I thought, well, it's very subtle, the piano, but it's in there, and that's where it comes from. The songs kind of take on their own character, and then sonically you add things or you don't, based on whether you think it'll work or not. That's what I could see in my mind. I could see literal ghosts coming in and out of this smoky bar with a piano in it. So I thought, well, why don't we try it with a piano? And again, it's very subtle, but it adds to the overall atmosphere of the music. So, as I said before, the guitar starts it off, and then the song takes on its own character, and you go with that.
Yeah, there is a very, very 1970s vibe on this album that is so cool. Did that change the kind of instruments and the equipment that you were using when you were recording?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a guitar. For me, it's one guitar and one amplifier, which were kind of originated. In the 50s. It's a Flying V, which electric guitars are kind of first made commercially available in the 50s, so they're instruments which have been around since then, and they're pretty much the same now as they were then. They've been changed a bit, but the core of those instruments are relatively the same. So it's a Marshall with a Flying V, and that's been around since the Marshall came out, I think the late 60s. So it's definitely been inspired by instruments that were around in the 70s. And then the music as well. It's Black Sabbath and Thin Lizzy and all those things. I grew up, I was born in the 80s, so that's who I am as a musician. And I think those influences are going to shine through. I think to do anything else would be disingenuous, really. This is who I am. those are the influences, and I wear them on my sleeve, you know.
Definitely. And you worked with a producer that you've worked with over a number of years with Andy. Why did you choose Andy to be the producer on this project, and what did you feel that he brought to Elegant Weapons as well?
Well, it was for the same reason that I just mentioned, really. Andy was brought up on the same music that I was, but he's also making records in 2023, you know, so he's making modern records that contain those early influences, as you said, 70s, 80s, you know, so I wanted to preserve those influences while being relevant in 23, and I think that's what Andy Sneap does. So to me, I mean, Andy's a great friend as well, and he's one of the world's best metal producers, in my opinion. So to have him on the board and as a producer was a no-brainer, really, for all those reasons.
Definitely. Now, Richie, we are running out of time very, very quickly, but I wanted to ask, you mentioned off-air before that you hadn't been to Australia for a while. Is the hope to bring this band right around the world, and including countries like Australia?
Of course, yeah. We want to get to wherever we can with Elegant Weapons. You know, that's part of the reason we do it. Is well, the big part of the reason we do it is to play live and get to as many people and connect with as many people as we can. And Australia has always been good to me, good to Priest over the years. We haven't been there for a while. So it'll be great to get back down there and see you guys and girls and play some great music for you. So we're looking for opportunities in Australia and beyond. You know, we're playing some dates in Europe next month and in July, and then we're looking for opportunities beyond that. So watch this space. If we do get anything, check out our socials and our website and stuff like that, and we'll let you know. We'll let you guys know.
Awesome, mate. Well, we look forward to playing all of the singles that come off this album on our show. So to finish off the interview, what would you like to say to people out there before they go out and take a listen to this amazing album?
Well, I'm just grateful that people spend the time, you know, to listen to music that we put out. You know, I know there's a lot of music out there at the moment, so I'm very grateful, very fortunate that people, you know, give me their opinions and give me their time. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So I hope you dig the album, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Well, Richie, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today. It's been an absolute honour having you on the show, and hopefully we do get to see you in Australia very, very soon.
Thanks for the support, Dave. Hopefully see you soon, man.
Walking a fine line, floated by decide between the black, white, and gray. Suspicious motives, mobbing unnoticed. Morality's masquerade. Can you confess your sins to your maker? Raise the palms of your best undertaker and pray. When the angels that come down and take you, that they might mistake your horns for a halo.
Well, listeners, we are counting down the days now to the Adelaide Beer and Barbecue Festival, and one of the bands on the lineup is the Melbourne-based band, the Bennies, and we thought, you know what, let's actually get one of the guys from the band on the phone today to talk about not only this festival, but also their new album that's coming up, and also their UK tour. So, welcome to the program, Antti.
Hey, welcome to the problem. Probably is more fitting.
I am battling a really heavy flu here at the moment, so I apologise if my
I don't mean to laugh. I just think problem instead of program is an awesome slip up.
Oh, I know, yeah. There might be more because, like I said, I am battling the flu at the moment. So, mate, we are so excited about this. We are so excited about this festival coming up. Tell us a little bit about how you guys are feeling about being able to play there.
The Adelaide one, yeah, the beer festival one.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we're so happy. Firstly, we're an awesome festival band. We always go down well at a festival. It's perfect music for it. But I love playing festivals. It's really fun. And we haven't done much in a while. You know, we pretty much had about 3 years of not playing, lineup change and all this sort of stuff. So, like, in some ways, it kind of feels like we are like starting again a little bit as a band, and with that means that you sort of have to build your way back up to, like, you know, getting on the festival circuit or whatever it might be. And to be invited to play this one amongst like such a good lineup is really, like, it's really reassuring for us. It's really exciting, and I just can't wait to do it. Like, a lot of the dudes in the new lineup, we haven't played a festival with this lineup yet, and I think it's just, we're on fire at the moment. So it's going to be sick.
You mentioned that you guys love playing at festivals. What is it about playing a festival show that makes it so special for you?
There's heaps of different things. But, like, the band started at a festival. Me and Craig, who's no longer in the band, were watching, I can't remember who, someone at Meredith Music Festival, and we're like, fuck, how good it'd be to be doing that ourselves. So that's sort of when the band actually started, like, well, let's just do it. So it kind of started with the intention of being a festival band, and then it's like, I know normally they're outdoors so people can smoke and dance, and I know it's like people have a little bit of an extra I'm here to have fun attitude, and perhaps they might just, if they're going out to a gig in the city, if you know what I mean, and normally get an eclectic group of people. There's often different things, not just music. You got food and whatever. People get dressed up, and it's all like a party, you know.
Well, you mentioned food. There's definitely going to be food at the Beer and Barbecue Festival. Does that side of the festival interest you at all?
Absolutely, it does. I'm very, very keen. Yes, I'm very keen on that part, and I know that the rest of the band is. We're pretty pro-barbecue band with the lineup we have at the moment, so everyone's been talking about the food probably more than the gig, actually. And I actually, I'm good friends with quite a well-known chef who I think has actually cooked there once before, and he was, when we announced that we were playing this festival, he called me and was like, dude, it's so cool you're playing it, the food there is unreal, make sure you get around and try it also. Keen as.
Awesome. Now, before we get back to the music, I've got to ask you...
we do, the only thing we did learn is you have to play first and then eat. So you can't eat this delicious barbecue food and try and play and jump around. You're either going to shit your pants or vomit.
So I've got to ask now, favourite beer and favourite thing to have at a barbecue?
All right. Well, it's probably going to get frowned upon a little bit, but since moving to Queensland about 2 years ago, my favourite beer now is 4X Gold. It's perfect.
Yep.
This weather. And I think it goes pretty well with a snag or two. And what was the one favourite?
Favourite barbecue food. What do you have to have at a barbecue?
Oh, man, it's all good. Like, I love, like, the spread, actually. I'm pretty partial to a hamburger, but I think, like, if it's like a really good barbecue, I feel like what there's going to be heaps of at this thing is, like, I love, barbecue brisket stuff is so good.
Definitely. Now, we mentioned, of course, you guys had about 3 years off. How did you spend that time? Like, you had a lineup change during that time. What was that period like for you? Was it actually good to have a little bit of a break?
Nah, it's fucked. It wasn't really by choice or anything like that. It sort of just started because of lockdown. Like, we were all in Melbourne at the time. Couldn't really do anything, so a lot of bands did all sorts of crazy different stuff to try and sort of stay afloat, doing online shows and all sorts of stuff, but the lineup we had at the time was pretty fatigued anyway, I think, and some people having kids and stuff, and so there was sort of a decision like, well, let's just take like a little breather anyway, and the timing was kind of all right because there was nothing to do anyway. But that sucks for me. I'd rather be doing stuff. I don't really like not. I'm into playing a band because I enjoy it, not because I don't want to not do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, talking about doing stuff, you guys have got a brand new album on the way. Tell us a little bit about that. How far along is the album, and what can we expect to hear on it?
Okay, so yeah, we're sort of like we're in very early stages. Because we do have a new lineup. We've been writing songs this year. We're all scattered all over the place, so the writing process is a bit drawn out. But we've written about 12 songs, new ones. They haven't been recorded yet, but yeah, we've written about 12 songs when we go to Europe, and then I'm hoping that when we get back and after this Adelaide show that we'll dive into recording. So it'll probably end up being about 10-track album or something like that, but a lot of the songs we'll play a fair few of them probably in Adelaide because we've been road testing and stuff, and it's an awesome album. I feel like one thing with the Bennies it's always been lucky is that the music's kind of all over the place. It's pretty eclectic. So in some ways, this album is just a classic Bennies album, but in some ways, it's like heaps of new shit. So it's sort of like a bit all over the place. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit slower. Some like hip hop in there. I know it's all over the place, but it's like still fundamentally a party, fun, catchy album.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait for that. And you mentioned, of course, your European tour. Whereabouts are you guys heading to in Europe, and how are you feeling about that?
Oh man, super pumped. It's like we leave in... Boy, just give us 1 sec. I'm just going to open up my calendar, which... yeah, we leave 2 weeks today, so it's so exciting. Yeah, boy. And we go to 2 shows in the UK. So we do Manchester, then London, and then we're off to the motherland, to Europe, where we do a bunch of shows in like Germany, Holland, Belgium, and Czech Republic, and I think that's maybe it. But that's about 2 to 3 weeks of just pretty much non-stop shows, a few festivals and stuff. It's going to be incredible.
Do you notice as well when you go overseas to shows like that the crowds are completely different from the Aussie crowds?
No, they're pretty. I don't know if it's just the Bennies thing or whatever. There's a pretty similar kind of crowd, to be honest. It's people just wanting to party, dance, drink beers, and smoke some pot and have a good time.
Awesome. So you mentioned a little bit before about you've been road testing some of the new tracks, and you mentioned that some of them might get a little bit of a go at Adelaide. What else can we expect from your Adelaide lineup?
Well, I guess no one in Adelaide will have seen this lineup, so it'll be a kind of a pretty new experience, I guess, for everyone. It is. I mean, still we play a lot of our songs and stuff, but it is a lot heavier than what it used to be, I guess. But yeah, it'll be just a set of old and new songs, so it's gonna fucking rule.
You mentioned that this feels like a fresh start for the band. For you personally, does it feel like there's a shot of energy in there now because it is kind of like a fresh start?
Yeah, man, absolutely, and it's so awesome. It's a great feeling to be amongst. It's very exciting and inspiring. There's it's just awesome. Doing we just did that tour in May around Australia, and it just felt really easy and fun because everyone was super keen and fresh, and no one's sick of each other yet, and things like that. So it's really, really exciting. And even before these guys all joined, it was 3 years of stagnant. We weren't really doing much, and it was impossible to write a song. And then, when we had this new lineup, there's so much fresh energy that in this short period of time, we've written more songs in this half year than we had in the previous 4.
Awesome. Well, mate, I won't keep you any longer. What would you like to say to everybody out there who's thinking about grabbing tickets to the Adelaide Beer and Barbecue Festival?
I think it'd be crazy not to come because, the lineup is amazing. And the last few years have taught us that these sort of events might not be around forever, and it's good to appreciate them when we can. Fucking come drink some beers and eat some barbecue and listen to some rad tunes.
Awesome. Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute honour having you on the show. We cannot wait for the brand new album, and we'll see you in Adelaide.
Fuck yeah, David. Thanks heaps for your time, mate.
crush them up to dust. My head feels great, my head feels great, my stomach don't it fucking ache. My head feels great, my head feels great, my stomach don't it fucking aches. And I've been here before, flashing lights on the dance floor. It's kinda worth it when my feelings feel numb. I got no cash, I got no cash, I sell it all, I make a stash. I got no cash, I got no cash, I'll sell it all, I make a stash. And I've been here before, sweaty palms and a metronome jaw.
And we're drawing to a close for Subculture After Dark, episode 7. That was a very sick me interviewing the Bennies before we went into their track Green Mitsubishis. And the thing I learned from that is
and you were the green interviewer.
Yeah, never ever do an interview when you're getting really sick. The really weird thing about that interview was that was the first day when I felt really, really sick with the flu. And I reckon an hour after I did that interview, I was asleep in the chair in the middle of the day because I just had no energy left at all.
Oh, God.
So I pretty much slept for 2 days. And that was the interview that told me, yeah, you can't do this. I was supposed to have another 2 or 3 interviews that afternoon. And I just wrote to the publicist and said, can we please do them next week? Because there is no way I'm going to be well enough to go through them. So, yeah, that happens sometimes, I guess.
But we're still bringing the show to you on time. So don't worry, guys. We're always here for you. Can't get rid of us that easy.
Definitely. And check out some of the Aussie bands that we had on this week as well. The Bennies, East Capri, The Last Martyr. They've got some amazing music coming out and they've got some amazing things coming up over the next few months. So make sure you check those guys out. And of course, go out and grab the brand new album from Elegant Weapons because it is absolutely amazing. The guys that have come together to work on that album, it's just absolutely stunning. So if you love that old Judas Priest kind of sound, you are going to absolutely love that album.
Yeah, I say to the tracks we've had on today, all so different and just awesome. I love listening to them.
Definitely. We're going to have to leave you now, but we'll be back again in 2 weeks' time with another episode of Subculture After Dark. But for now, I've been Dave G.
And I've been Harley. We'll catch you in a fortnight.